We're diving into the world of neuroscience and human potential with all this fascinating material you've given us.
Yeah, it's amazing all that we're learning about the brain and, how adaptable it is.
Right. Like this idea that stress is actually contagious blew my mind.
Yeah, stress is definitely contagious.
I always knew it was bad, but I had no idea it could spread from person to person.
It's true when we're stressed, our bodies release cortisol, and others can actually detect that cortisol.
Oh, wow.
Which can trigger, a stress response in their bodies.
So like a silent alarm going off.
Yeah, exactly.
Spreading anxiety without us even realizing it.
That's right.
This makes me think about leadership.
Mm-hmm.
A leader's stress levels must have such a huge impact on everyone in the organization.
Absolutely. A leader's stress trickles down, creates that ripple effect through the whole team.
Wow.
That's why it's so important for leaders to really prioritize their well-being and model those healthy stress management techniques.
I'm thinking back to the material you sent about managing stress, like aerobic exercise.
Right.
It might be really beneficial to focus on exercises that help us sweat out that cortisol.
Yeah, exactly. High-intensity interval training or even just a brisk walk, out in nature.
Yeah.
Those are effective ways to lower those levels.
Okay.
And don't forget about journaling.
Right.
Just taking a few minutes each day to write out your thoughts and feelings that can really help.
Yeah, like decluttering for the brain.
Exactly.
Speaking of decluttering, let's talk about sleep.
Yeah.
I've been trying to start my day a little later, and I have so much more energy.
I bet.
It's really amazing.
Yeah, our modern lifestyle really messes with our natural sleep patterns.
It really does.
And the research that you sent over, it really highlights how important sleep is for cleaning and detoxifying our brains.
Right, like the glymphatic system.
Yes.
Our brains have their own little cleaning crew that comes in while we sleep and washes away all the toxins.
Oh, exactly. During sleep, those channels in our brain expand.
Wow.
Allowing that cerebrospinal fluid to flow and remove the waste.
Okay.
Which is really important to keep our brains functioning well, especially as we age.
So it's not just about feeling rested.
Right.
It's about letting our brain do some housekeeping.
Yeah.
The research mentioned that ideal sleep duration is about 8 hours and 15 minutes for most adults.
Yeah, that's a good goal.
Wow. Okay.
Consistently getting less than 7 hours of sleep can really impact our cognitive performance.
Sure.
And, our overall health.
And also, sleeping on your side is best for this whole brain cleaning process.
Right.
So it allows for better, drainage of waste products from the brain.
It's amazing, even our sleep position can impact our brain health.
It really is.
I think you said you invested in a special pillow to help with side sleeping.
I'm a back sleeper.
Okay.
But I really want to make side sleeping a habit.
I hear.
Something I wanted to talk about that's kind of a controversial topic is co-sleeping.
Yeah, co-sleeping has been practiced for centuries in many cultures.
Yeah.
And it's, rooted in our evolution. Sleeping together provided warmth, protection, connection.
Yeah, it makes sense that feeling safe and connected would be, so crucial for survival back then.
Absolutely.
But now it gets kind of a bad rap.
It does, especially for couples.
But it's important to remember that co-sleeping is a very natural human behavior.
Right.
And, it has many benefits.
Like what?
Well, the physical touch and closeness we experience during co-sleeping, it triggers that release of oxytocin.
Okay.
The bonding hormone.
I see.
I think you mentioned co-sleeping has strengthened your own relationship.
Yeah.
And how even when your husband wakes up earlier than you still find value in those moments.
Absolutely. Even if I don't fully wake up, I feel that surge of connection.
Yeah.
When he kisses me goodbye. It's a great way to start the day.
That's beautiful. It's like a reminder that even small acts of physical connection can really strengthen those bonds.
Absolutely.
I think you also said that co-sleeping can help combat the loneliness.
I do.
And the disconnection that's so common now.
Yeah, that shared experience of sleeping together fosters that deeper sense of intimacy and security. It's a simple way to really nurture those relationships.
I'm curious, for people who are hesitant about co-sleeping because of snoring or different sleep schedules, do you have any tips for making it work?
Open communication is key.
Right.
Talking to your partner about concerns and experimenting with different strategies, like separate blankets or earplugs. Just finding what feels comfortable and beneficial for both people.
Okay, great tips.
Yeah.
Now let's talk about intuition.
Okay.
I've always been fascinated by intuition, but also kind of skeptical.
Yeah.
You mentioned that intuition is basically wisdom that's stored throughout our nervous system.
Right? It's not some mystical, sixth sense.
Right.
It's based on all those years of experience and the patterns that our brains recognize.
Oh.
And this information, it's stored not just in our brains, but throughout our nervous system.
Wow.
Including our gut.
So that gut feeling we talk about?
Yes.
It's real.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's a real phenomenon.
So how can we learn to trust it more and actually use it?
Well, start by paying attention to those gut feelings.
Okay.
Notice how they play out. Often we dismiss them as just a hunch, but if we start tracking those hunches, we might be surprised by how accurate they can be.
So keep a journal.
Exactly. Keep a journal where you record, your intuitive feelings.
Yeah.
And then the outcomes of those situations.
Okay.
And over time, you'll start to see a pattern.
So we're training the muscle.
It is like training a muscle.
The more we use it,
the more we use it,
the stronger it gets.
The stronger and more reliable it becomes.
And you also highlighted that there's a link between intuition age and experience.
That's right. As we get older, our intuition naturally becomes more refined. We've encountered more patterns, learned more lessons, developed a deeper understanding of ourselves and the world.
Okay, so those senior moments might actually be tightened intuition.
They could be.
Wow. Okay. Let's delve into neuroplasticity.
Okay.
This idea that our brains can change and adapt throughout our lives is revolutionary.
It really is. It debunks that old belief that, we're hardwired, stuck with the brain we're born with.
Our brains are constantly rewiring.
They are.
Based on our experiences and thoughts and actions.
Based on our experiences and our environment.
Wow. I'm so interested in how we can use this to break free from habits and behaviors that no longer serve us.
It's a process that takes conscious effort and practice.
Okay.
Think of it like, creating a new path through a forest. At first, it's really difficult. Requires, a lot of focus.
Yeah.
But the more you walk that path, the clearer and easier it becomes.
So repetition is key.
Exactly. Repetition is key to changing habits and creating those new pathways in the brain.
And you were saying that deep ingrained habits, especially ones from childhood, can be hard to change.
They can. It's because, those early experiences, they really form the foundation of our neural wiring.
Right.
So if those early experiences were traumatic or chaotic, it can make it harder to develop those healthy habits later.
This brings us to generational and epigenetic trauma.
Right.
I've been hearing a lot about this lately.
Yeah.
Can you explain how these relate to our brains and our behavior?
Generational trauma refers to the psychological impact of traumatic events that are passed down through families.
I see.
So, for example, imagine, a grandmother who survived a war.
Yeah.
Even though her children and grandchildren didn't directly experience the war, the trauma can still affect them.
Okay.
Through learned behaviors, coping mechanisms, and even altered gene expression.
Wow. So it's like echoes of the trauma.
Exactly.
Reverberating through the family tree.
Through the family tree, even across generations. And epigenetic trauma takes it a step further.
Okay.
It suggests that traumatic experiences can alter the way our genes are expressed.
Oh, wow.
Affecting our stress response resilience and even our susceptibility to certain diseases.
So our experiences, both positive and negative, can actually leave a mark on our DNA.
That's right. It's a powerful thought.
It is.
But it also highlights, the power we have to heal and create, a more positive legacy for future generations.
You shared a powerful example of how a mother's stress during pregnancy can impact the child.
Those high levels of cortisol in the mother's blood can cross the placenta and affect the baby's developing brain, showing how crucial it is for mothers to prioritize their well-being, manage their stress levels. It's not just about their health, but the health of their children.
This makes me wonder if trauma can be passed down. Can we also pass down resilience?
That's a great question, and researchers are still exploring that. But there is growing evidence that positive experiences and healthy coping mechanisms can also be inherited.
So by nurturing our own mental and emotional health, we're not just benefiting ourselves, but also future generations.
Exactly. We're not just products of our past. We're architects of our future.
Let's shift gears and talk about grief and heartbreak.
Okay.
These are really difficult emotions to navigate.
They are. Grief and heartbreak are natural responses to loss.
Yeah.
It's important to allow ourselves to fully feel those emotions, without judgment or resistance.
I think you believe that in order to truly heal from grief,
yeah,
we need to experience the depths of our sorrow.
It's about embracing the full spectrum of emotions, that come with grief, even the painful ones.
It's not about dwelling in sadness.
No, it's about processing those emotions in a healthy way so we can go forward.
Okay. And you also mentioned that it's important to support loved ones through grief.
Yeah.
With empathy and understanding.
Absolutely. When someone's grieving, the best thing we can do is just be there for them.
Yeah.
Offer a listening ear, unconditional love.
Yeah.
It's not about offering advice or trying to fix their pain.
Right.
It's about just holding space for them.
Yeah. Sometimes the most powerful support is just our presence.
Absolutely.
And our willingness to listen without judgment.
That's right.
Okay, let's talk about neurodiversity.
Okay.
This is a topic that's gaining a lot of recognition.
Neurodiversity embraces the idea that there's a wide spectrum of neurological differences and that these differences are not deficits, but variations, in how our brains work.
Okay, you mentioned conditions like autism.
Yes.
ADHD, dyslexia, dyscalculia all fall under this.
That's right. And while these conditions can, present challenges, they can also be associated with unique strengths.
Yeah, and there's been so much discussion about the increase in neurodiversity.
There has.
In recent years.
Yeah.
And you think this might be partly due to improved diagnosis.
Yeah, and a growing awareness of these conditions.
Yeah.
As we understand neurodiversity more, we're getting better at recognizing and supporting individuals with diverse neurological profiles.
So creating a more inclusive society.
Exactly.
And you proposed a fascinating theory that neurodiversity may actually be an adaptive response to the changing world that we live in.
Some researchers believe that, certain neurodivergent traits,
like what?
Like hyperfocus or heightened sensitivity to sensory input, or even unconventional thinking patterns, may be advantageous in our world.
Wow. It's like our brains are evolving to keep up with the demands of modern life. Wow. So what we once perceived as deficits may be strengths?
That's right. Neurodiversity challenges us to really rethink, what's considered normal and appreciate the diversity of human brains.
For sure.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, I want to hear about this ancient wisdom that you've been researching.
Okay. Well, one of the most interesting things I've found is the power of humming and chanting.
Okay.
These have been used for millennia in spiritual traditions.
Right.
And now science is starting to understand why they work so well.
I'm curious.
Yeah.
What have you found?
Well, humming and chanting can calm the nervous system.
Oh, wow.
And they can boost creativity.
Okay.
The vibrations stimulate the vagus nerve, which plays a crucial role in regulating our stress response.
Right. So by calming the nervous system, it creates a more receptive state for creativity and insight.
That's right. It's like using sound to tune our nervous system.
Oh, wow.
And create, a more harmonious internal environment.
And when we chant with intention, we're programming our subconscious with positive affirmations.
Right.
That's powerful.
Yeah.
It's like neuroplasticity in action.
It is.
We're creating new neural pathways that support those beliefs.
Exactly.
You've also said how important it is to spend time in nature to restore our well-being.
Nature is the ultimate source, of wisdom and healing.
Yeah.
Whether it's walking in a forest or gardening or just sitting by a lake, it can have a huge impact on our mental and physical health.
It really can. Even just a short walk in the park for me clears my head.
I bet.
Reduces stress, boosts my mood.
It's like hitting the reset button on our nervous systems and reconnecting with the rhythms of nature.
Okay, let's talk about aging. Something that often evokes fear and anxiety.
Yeah, it's often seen as something to be, feared and resisted.
Right.
But I think it can be a time of growth, wisdom, and fulfillment.
I agree.
One of the things I've learned about is the power of psychological priming.
Right.
Our beliefs about aging can really impact our physical health and our abilities.
You shared a study about octogenarians who were asked to reminisce about their younger selves.
Yeah.
Or to live as if they were younger.
For a week.
Yeah.
And the results were amazing.
Right. It demonstrates how mindset
yeah.
can affect physical and cognitive function.
Exactly.
So we have more control over our aging process than we think.
We do.
By shifting to a positive mindset,
yeah.
we can age more gracefully.
Right.
With more vitality.
Yes.
And maybe even reverse some age-related decline.
You also shared a story about defying those age-related expectations.
I did.
When your optician told you might need reading glasses.
Yeah, I refused to accept it.
Good for you.
And my eyesight actually improved.
That's great.
So our minds can really influence our physical reality.
Absolutely.
Okay, let's talk about language.
Okay.
You said the language we use both internally and externally can impact our thoughts, feelings, and behaviors.
Absolutely. Words have immense power.
Yeah.
You know, the words we choose can empower us or they can limit us.
Right.
So by being more mindful of our language, we can select words that support our goals and create a more positive mindset.
Right. You shared that example about how you've been reframing the word need.
I have.
To create a more empowering inner dialogue.
So instead of saying I need a coffee, which, you know, implies a sense of lack.
Right.
I now say, I'm going to treat myself to a coffee.
Okay, so a subtle shift.
Yeah.
But it makes a difference.
It does.
Yeah. And you also talked about personal responsibility when it comes to our thoughts and actions.
We have a choice, you know, in how we think and how we act.
So instead of saying, I don't have time to exercise, which kind of puts the blame on external factors.
Exactly.
You say, I'm choosing to prioritize other things over exercise.
That's right.
Okay, so acknowledging that you're making a conscious choice.
Yeah, it's about taking ownership of our lives and our choices.
Right. This brings us to manifestation.
Okay.
This is a topic that's often seen as mystical.
It is.
But you've been looking at it from a scientific perspective.
Yeah, true. Manifestation isn't about just wishing for things to happen.
Right.
It's about creating the conditions for those things to happen. It's about taking action, making choices, and believing in our ability to create the life we want.
And you use what you call action boards.
I do.
Which are a more proactive take on vision boards.
So instead of just pasting pictures on a board, I include concrete steps I can take.
I love that.
Yeah.
Turning dreams
into
actionable plans. You also said it's important to shift from a scarcity mindset to an abundance mindset.
Absolutely. When we focus on what we have to offer the world, we attract more opportunities and abundance.
It's like shifting from lack to possibility.
Exactly.
Okay, wow. This has already been so insightful.
Yeah.
About the power and potential of our brains.
It is amazing.
I'm really excited about all the strategies we talked about for managing stress, improving sleep, and tapping into our intuition.
These are just a few examples of the many ways we can use this knowledge to enhance our well-being and live more fulfilling lives.
And this is just the beginning of our exploration.
Right.
Stay tuned for part 2, where we'll dive even deeper into neuroscience and uncover more fascinating insights and practical tools for unlocking our full potential.
It's going to be great.
I can't wait.
Me too.
Welcome back to the Deep Dive. We're continuing our journey into neuroscience and human potential, building on all those amazing insights from part 1.
It's really fascinating, how much we can learn from both the research and ancient wisdom.
Yeah, they offer such different perspectives on how to optimize our brains and live more fulfilling lives.
Exactly.
You've been so interested in exploring these ancient practices.
I have.
That promote well-being.
Yes.
And I'm really interested to hear more about how we can use them in our modern lives.
Well, one practice that I found really helpful is humming.
Humming.
It might seem simple, but those vibrations from humming, they have a huge effect on our nervous system.
You said it stimulates the vagus nerve.
It does.
Which regulates our stress response.
Yeah. The vagus nerve is like a communication highway between the brain and the body.
Oh, wow.
So when we stimulate it through humming, it tells our body to relax, slow down our heart rate, reduce stress.
So like a massage for our nervous system.
Yeah, exactly.
Right, like that.
You've been experimenting with humming yourself.
I have.
What have you noticed?
I've found that even a few minutes a day can really reduce my stress and just improve my mood.
That's great.
Sometimes I hum along to my favorite songs. Sometimes I just hum a single note that resonates with me.
Yeah, whatever feels good.
Yeah, exactly.
I love that.
Okay, so now you also mentioned chanting.
Right.
How does chanting differ from humming?
Well, chanting is similar in that it uses sound vibrations, but it often involves repeating specific words or phrases that have meaning or intention.
So we're combining sound with focused intention.
Exactly.
Powerful.
Yeah, and when we chant with that intention, we're kind of programming our subconscious with positive affirmations.
This reminds me of neuroplasticity.
It is.
We're strengthening those pathways associated with those beliefs.
Yes. It's a great example of how, ancient wisdom and science come together.
Yeah, it really is.
To give us those tools for transformation.
You've also talked about spending time in nature. I always feel more grounded when I'm outdoors.
There's something really restorative about nature. It's like our nervous systems recognize those rhythms and patterns.
Yeah, whether it's walking in a forest or gardening or just sitting by a lake. It's so calming and rejuvenating.
And researchers say it can reduce stress hormones, lower blood pressure, even boost our immune system.
Wow.
It's a simple but powerful way to enhance our well-being.
I love how you're bringing together these ancient practices with modern science.
Yeah, it's about recognizing that we don't have to reinvent the wheel.
Right.
Our ancestors knew what they were doing.
Now let's go back to changing habits.
Okay.
We talked about how those deep ingrained habits from childhood can be tough to break.
Yeah.
Why is that?
Well, early experiences are so important for shaping our brains and creating those neural pathways.
Right.
So if we develop those unhealthy habits in childhood, they get embedded in our nervous system.
It's like a house with a shaky foundation.
Exactly.
It's hard to make changes later on.
It can be, but it doesn't mean we're stuck.
Right.
Neuroplasticity gives us hope.
Okay, so even though those early patterns are there, we can rewire our brains.
We can
make new, healthier habits.
Absolutely. It takes effort, practice, and a lot of self-compassion.
And you also said it's important to understand the root cause of those habits.
It is.
Why is that?
Well, often unhealthy habits develop as coping mechanisms for dealing with, tough emotions or experiences.
Right.
So if we don't deal with the underlying need, those habits will probably stick around.
So it's not just about forcing ourselves to change our behavior.
Right.
We need to understand the why.
Exactly. Once we understand those needs, we can start to develop healthier ways to cope.
Okay.
And replace those old habits with better ones.
And you said self-compassion is important.
It is. Changing habits is tough.
Yeah.
We get discouraged easily.
I know, I do.
So be kind to yourself. Celebrate the progress.
Yeah.
And don't give up if you have setbacks.
Okay, great advice.
Okay, so let's talk about technology in our brains. We live in a world full of information and stimulation.
We do. It's constant.
How do you think all this technology is affecting our brains?
Well, I think it's a double-edged sword.
Yeah, I agree.
On the one hand, it can really enhance our cognitive abilities.
Right. There are tons of apps and programs.
So many.
Designed to train our brains.
Yeah, improve memory focus.
Exactly.
Problem-solving skills.
But on the other hand, excessive use can lead to information overload, distraction, even addiction.
I definitely feel more scattered when I spend too much time on my phone.
Me too. Our brains aren't meant to process this constant stream of information.
And it's too much.
Yeah, it's too much.
It can lead to stress.
Absolutely.
Anxiety, difficulty focusing.
It really can. I've actually made an effort to limit my own technology use.
Oh, good for you.
I've got strategies like no screens in the bedroom, designated times for email and social media, and regular digital detox.
That's great.
It's about finding that balance.
Right.
Where I can benefit from technology without letting it take over.
It's about being mindful. And making sure technology is serving us.
Exactly.
Not the other way around.
Technology is a tool.
It is.
And we get to decide how we use it.
Now let's bring it back to personal responsibility.
Okay.
You talked about how we always have a choice.
We do.
Even when things feel limited.
That's such an important part of, personal growth.
Yeah.
We can't always control our circumstances.
Right.
But we can choose how we respond.
And you shared that example about reframing your thinking about time.
I did.
Instead of saying, I don't have time to exercise.
Right.
You say, I'm choosing to prioritize other things over exercise.
It's a little shift in language.
It is.
But it changes how I feel.
It's about acknowledging that you're making a choice.
Yeah.
Not feeling like a victim.
Exactly. It's about owning our lives.
Let's talk about intuition again.
Okay.
You've been really demystifying intuition.
I have. It's often seen as, this magical thing.
Yeah.
But it's actually a natural part of being human.
Okay.
It's based on our experiences, the patterns our brains recognize, the signals our bodies send us.
So those gut feelings,
yes,
they're not random?
They're not. They're based on real information.
Okay.
Our intuition is like this huge database that we can tap into.
So how do we develop it?
We'll start by paying attention to those gut feelings
and
notice how they play out. Keep a journal where you record your hunches and the outcomes.
I like that.
And over time, you'll see those patterns.
Yeah, and you talked about the link between intuition and age.
Yeah, as we get older, our brains get better at seeing patterns.
So those senior moments could be heightened intuition.
Maybe as we age, we rely less on logic and more on our inner wisdom.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, now let's talk about grief and heartbreak.
Okay.
They could be so hard to deal with.
They are. Grief and heartbreak are natural responses to loss.
Yeah, they're a part of life.
They are.
And you say we need to allow ourselves to feel them.
Trying to suppress or numb those feelings just makes it worse.
Right.
It's like trying to hold a beach ball underwater.
Yeah.
It'll pop back up eventually.
So embrace them.
Yes. Allow yourself to feel the pain, the sadness, the anger.
Yeah.
It's about acknowledging and honoring those feelings so we can move through them.
And supporting loved ones through grief is so important.
It is. When someone is grieving, just be present with them.
Yeah.
Listen without judgment.
Yeah.
Offer love and support.
Not trying to fix it.
No, just holding space for them.
Powerful.
Yeah.
Now neurodiversity is getting more and more recognition.
It really challenges that traditional view of neurological differences as deficits.
Right.
It's about celebrating all those different brains.
And you said conditions like autism, ADHD, dyslexia.
Yes, they all fall under that umbrella.
And while there are challenges,
they
also come with strengths.
There are so many strengths.
We've seen this increase in neurodiversity diagnoses lately.
Yeah.
Why do you think that is?
I think it's a combination of things, more awareness, better diagnosis, and just greater acceptance. We're getting better at recognizing and supporting individuals with these different profiles.
And you said it might even be adaptive.
It might be.
To this world we live in now.
Some think those neurodivergent traits like hyperfocus and sensitivity could actually be beneficial in this complex world.
What we once thought were weaknesses might be strengths.
Neurodiversity really challenges us to rethink what's normal.
Right.
And appreciate all those different ways of thinking.
Yeah, I love that.
Okay, so let's talk more about those ancient wisdom traditions.
I'm ready.
I've been really fascinated by sound and vibration.
Yeah.
Ancient cultures knew how transformative sound could be.
And now science is catching up.
We talked about humming and chanting.
We did.
But there are so many other traditions, like yoga, meditation, shamanic practices that use sound for healing.
I'm curious to hear about some of those.
Well, one example is singing bowls.
Oh, yeah.
They've been used in Tibetan Buddhist practices for centuries.
I've heard of those.
The vibrations are thought to relax, reduce stress, and even heal on a cellular level.
Wow.
People use them during meditation or yoga.
How did that work?
You can place them on or near the body and strike them gently with a mallet.
Yeah.
And those vibrations can be felt throughout the body.
That sounds so relaxing.
It is. Another practice is drumming.
Oh, yeah.
It's found in many indigenous cultures.
Yeah.
It's often used in ceremonies and rituals.
Right.
To connect with the spirit world, to promote healing, to create community.
I've experienced that feeling of unity and connection.
I bet the rhythmic beats, they can synchronize our heartbeats.
Wow.
And brain waves.
It's amazing how relevant these practices are now.
It is. We're surrounded by so much noise and stimulation.
Yeah.
And these practices help us find that inner peace.
Okay, let's talk about aging.
All right.
You've been exploring aging with such a positive mindset.
I have. It's often seen as something to fear.
It is.
But I think it can be a time of growth and wisdom.
I agree.
We talked about psychological priming and how our beliefs about aging can affect our health.
Right.
If we think aging is about decline, then that's what we'll experience.
It's a self-fulfilling prophecy.
It is.
But if we have a positive mindset,
yes,
we can create a different reality.
We can remember that story you shared about your optician.
Oh, yeah?
And the reading glasses.
I refuse to accept that limitation.
Good for you.
And my eyesight improved.
It shows how powerful our beliefs are.
Yeah.
And how adaptable our brains are.
Now let's talk about language.
Okay.
You said how powerful our words are.
Words are more than just communication. They carry energy and vibration.
Right.
They can create or destroy.
And you shared some examples of how to use language to empower ourselves.
right? Like reframing negative self-talk.
Yeah.
Instead of saying, I'm so stupid, we can say, I'm learning. Instead of saying, I can't do this, we can say, I'm still figuring this out.
So shifting from limitation to possibility.
Exactly. And that shift in language can change our thoughts, feelings, and actions.
And you talk about personal responsibility.
Yeah, we have a responsibility to choose our words carefully, both for ourselves and others.
Because words can heal.
They can heal or harm, inspire, or discourage.
Our words matter.
They do. They shape our reality.
Now let's talk about action.
Okay.
You said it's not enough to just understand these concepts.
Knowledge is power, but only if we use it.
Right. We need to apply them to our lives.
Exactly. Set intentions, create action plans, and take those steps.
You use those action boards.
They do.
They're like vision boards, but more proactive.
Yeah. Instead of just pictures, I include specific steps.
I love that.
It turns those dreams into a plan.
And shifting to an abundance mindset is so important.
It is when we focus on what we have to offer. Yeah. We attract more opportunities.
Okay, as we wrap up part 2, we've explored so much about how to enhance our well-being and unlock our potential.
We have. It's been great.
For our listeners, we encourage you to try these things out.
Yes.
See what works best for you.
Exactly.
Stay tuned for part 3, where we'll keep exploring neuroscience.
I'm looking forward to it.
Me too.
Welcome back to The Deep Dive. It's amazing how much we've learned about our brains and how they shape our reality. It really is. You know, from managing stress to changing habits, it's incredible how much power we have.
Yeah, and that idea of psychological priming, that our beliefs can influence reality, is mind-blowing.
It really highlights, the importance of having a positive mindset.
Right, because our beliefs create our reality.
They do.
If we think we can achieve something, we're more likely to take those steps.
And if we have those limiting beliefs, well, they can become self-fulfilling prophecies.
You shared that study about the elderly folks who were asked to live like they were 20 years younger.
I did, and the results were amazing.
They improved so much just by shifting their mindset.
It shows the power of belief and how adaptable our brains are.
It's a good reminder that we can keep growing and stay vital throughout our lives.
Absolutely.
And then there's neurodiversity, this idea that our differences can be strengths.
Right. Neurodiversity reminds us there's no one right way for a brain to work.
Yeah, each brain is unique with its own strengths and challenges.
And instead of trying to fit everyone into the same box, we need to celebrate those differences.
Because everyone has something to offer.
Exactly. When we embrace neurodiversity, we create a better world for everyone.
Okay, now let's talk about changing habits. We talked about how ingrained those habits can be.
Yep, especially the ones from childhood.
But we can change.
We can. Our brains are always changing.
It takes self-awareness, commitment, and effort.
And it's not about forcing ourselves. It's about understanding those habits and developing new behaviors that align with our values.
You said it's important to figure out what triggers those unwanted habits.
Yes. Once we know our triggers, we can start to make different choices.
Right. Becoming more conscious of our patterns.
Exactly.
Making deliberate choices.
Yeah, that support our goals.
And repetition is key.
It is. The more we repeat a new behavior, the stronger that neural pathway becomes.
So we're literally rewiring our brains.
We are, by choosing those new behaviors.
You also gave that great tip about starting small.
Yes.
And building momentum.
Trying to do too much at once can be overwhelming.
It really can.
Focus on one small change, celebrate the wins, and build from there.
Creating that positive feedback loop.
Right. Small changes can lead to big results.
Okay, now let's talk about sleep.
Right.
So important.
It is, and it's often overlooked.
It is. We're so busy and focused on productivity.
But sleep is not a luxury.
It's not.
It's essential.
You said it's like hitting the reset button for our brains.
It is. Sleep allows our brains to clear out waste, consolidate memories, and get ready for the day.
But so many of us struggle with sleep these days.
We do.
What gets in the way?
Well, stress, caffeine, alcohol, screen time before bed, and even our sleep environment can all affect our sleep.
Okay, so what helps?
Having a relaxing bedtime routine, avoiding those stimulants, and making sure your bedroom is dark, quiet, and cool.
I've been doing that, and it's helped so much.
It's amazing how much those little changes can help.
Okay, I want to talk about creativity.
All right.
Something I'm really passionate about.
Creativity is often seen as this special gift.
Yeah.
But I think it's in all of us.
I agree.
It's about expressing ourselves, connecting with our intuition, and bringing new ideas into the world.
Right. And you said it's about making connections between existing ideas.
Exactly. Seeing things from a new perspective, finding new solutions.
So how can we boost our creativity?
We'll do things that spark your imagination, painting, writing music, exploring nature, traveling, having great conversations.
I love that.
And don't be afraid to fail.
Failure is part of the process.
It's a stepping stone to success.
We learn from our mistakes.
We do. And when we're not afraid to fail, we take more risks and push our creative boundaries.
So as we wrap up this deep dive,
yes,
what's the one piece of advice you'd give to someone who wants to enhance their brain health and unlock their potential?
If I had to pick one thing, it would be mindfulness.
Okay, tell me more.
Mindfulness is about being present.
Yeah.
Paying attention to the moment without judgment.
Okay.
It's about noticing our thoughts, feelings, and sensations without getting carried away.
You said it helps reduce stress, improve focus, and manage emotions?
It does. When we practice mindfulness, we're training our brains to be more present, more focused, and more resilient.
Okay, so it's like a mental workout.
It is, and consistency is key. Even a few minutes a day can make a difference.
This has been an incredible conversation.
Yes.
I'm leaving feeling so inspired.
That's great.
And ready to keep exploring the potential of my own brain.
Your brain is amazing.
It is.
Remember, it has unlimited possibilities.
Thank you for joining us on this deep dive into neuroscience and human potential. We hope you've enjoyed the journey.
I did.
And that you'll continue to explore, learn, and grow.
Keep diving deep.